So Michael Chandler has reignited this long feud between him and Conor McGregor. Can you imagine, guys? Michael Chandler, Conor McGregor, the White House, Donald Trump, UFC fight night at the White House, guys. Wow. I can't imagine anything more electric. I mean, it's not a metaphor, guys, honestly, and it's not clickbait. Like this is actually happening, guys. An actual fight on presidential grounds. For those who don't think that the UFC fight night at the White House is actually going to happen, it's going to happen. It's actually going to happen, guys. It's going to happen in June, and no, it's not a matter of if. It is going to happen. We know that. But if the fight between Chandler and McGregor actually happens, this could be probably one of the wildest fights in combat history as of late, guys. And honestly, it may not be as crazy as it sounds because the feud between these two continues to grow. It continues to expedite to the point where these guys are now trash talking one another on social media, and this might very well happen. So let's talk about it, guys. What's good, everybody? What's good? Welcome back to Duality 7X. I'm your host, Shiraz. Here we try to cover all the latest trending stories when it comes to the world of MMA, UFC, WWE, and boxing. Now let's talk about something that has the MMA world incensed. I guess incense is the wrong word, guys, but it has the MMA world definitely talking about it, and maybe some people are even losing their minds because the stuff that I'm reading online, holy smokes, man, there's a lot of fans of McGregor's, pretty much going at it with fans of Chandler's, and it's not looking good. I guess that's why I use the word incense, but incense is... No, I mean, people aren't angry at the story itself. They're just angry with one another, guys. So let's talk about it, guys. And let's talk about why people are losing their minds. So Michael Chandler just dropped a huge bombshell announcement in a recent interview. He said the idea of fighting Conor McGregor at the White House is no longer a fantasy. And apparently there's real conversations happening behind the scenes to potentially make this fight not just to make this fight come to fruition, because there's a lot of people right now who up until this point were speculating whether or not these two are actually going to even fight or even fight one another. So it looks like it's actually going down, and it looks like the powers to be and all the people that need to approve this fight are actually talking about making this fight become a reality, not just a fantasy. And so things are moving definitely in the right direction. Chandler wants it. Conor wants it. So it looks like it could potentially happen. Now, I just want you guys to let that sink in for a second. I mean, Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor, right? We've waited years, okay, for the green light to actually, kick off for this fight. And, there's been so many instances where these guys were almost going to fight. Something or another kind of derails it for some apparent reason. But they coached opposite teams. You guys remember that on The Ultimate Fighter 31. And the build-up was there. Okay, the rivalry was definitely there. But for whatever reason, injuries kind of crept up on these guys, and Conor disappearing from the octagon, turned this matchup, honestly, guys, into MMA's biggest what if. And yet, Chandler and, fans on both sides, McGregor's and Chandler's, kept this alive, kept this rivalry alive. And now that Conor McGregor has, not hinted, but he's kind of come out openly and said that he's no longer wanting to run for the president of, Ireland anymore, that he wants to focus his efforts on returning to the octagon. He's been training. He's been kind of getting back in shape. So, a lot of people are starting to reignite this, feud, this rivalry between these two fighters, to the point where both of these fighters want not necessarily just want to come back to the octagon and not necessarily just want to fight at the UFC fight night at the White House, but they actually want to fight one another. All right. And Chandler himself, he's loud. He's staying very patient. He's kept the pressure on. And the spectacle potentially between these two fighters has gone nuclear. Okay. So just imagine Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor. Let's talk about the records, actually. Let's talk about Michael Chandler's professional MMA record. It's 23-8. His UFC record is 2-3. Right? He's got 11 wins by way of TKO, 7 wins by way of submission, and he's a former Bellator lightweight champion. He's known for being super explosive, especially right in the beginning. He's got a lot of power. His grappling abilities are second to none, and he's the kind of guy who just has that nonstop, relentless pressure. This is what makes it really difficult to fight guys like Michael Chandler. He almost kind of reminds me of Khamzat Chimaev, right? And at Conor McGregor, he's got a professional MMA record of 22-6. So these guys are very evenly kind of matched. Conor McGregor 22-6, Michael Chandler 23-8, but Conor McGregor's UFC record is 10-4. He's got 19 wins by way of KO, by way of TKO. A 1 win by way of submission. So 19 wins over 11 wins, for Michael Conor McGregor's 19 wins definitely overshadows Michael Chandler's 11 wins by TKO, but his 1 win by way of submission compared to 7 wins by way of submission for Michael Chandler, that's definitely up for debate. That a lot of people are definitely going to be talking about it. Conor McGregor, however, is a former UFC featherweight and lightweight champion. He's a champion in 2 weight classes, and he's known for his elite striking capabilities, his timing, and of course he's got star power. He's a celebrity. He's been in movies. He's got his own business. He's done a lot of things that's put him in the headlines each and every time. How good will that help him? Or how much of that will help him with his wrestling abilities? I mean, that's debatable, right? So, I mean, if you're talking about like quick comparisons between these guys, Chandler definitely has more total fights, all right? And he's faced probably more elite competition, especially when we're talking about across Bellator, right? And and UFC combined. Actually, Conor has probably the more high profile wins, more UFC title successes, and probably far more knockouts, because I mean he's got 19 compared to Chandler's 11. But he's a little bit weaker in a submission category. So that's a lot of people are going to try to expose Conor for that. Conor fans are going to say, well, our fighter's got 19 wins by way of TKO. Your guy's only has 11. Yeah, okay, we might be a little weak in the submission area, but, I mean, people are going to argue the fact that if Conor takes on Chandler, he's going to try to knock him out early, because that's what Conor's known for, right? And Chandler, some people will say, well, he's more of a durable fighter. He brings a lot of chaos. He's explosive. He brings a lot of power to his to his fights, but Conor's got that precision. He's got that skill, timing, and he's just an elite striker. So, it's going to be, guys, this is the match. I'm telling you, I think I've sold it, and I hate to sell the sizzle before the steak, but guys, you have 2 different types of fighters here who are kind of evenly matched, but they're known for their skill sets in different categories. And when these guys come together, this is the kind of fight that people are going to pay a lot of money to watch. Okay? I can only see more storylines and more discussions, more debates happening between these fighters and their fighting style as we get closer to the UFC fight night at the White House. Look, we're not talking about just another fight here. This is about legacy. We're talking about attention. We're talking about timing. We're talking about the possibility of someone getting knocked out or submitting, tapping out. The UFC, how like the White House fight would instantly become global news, and it's not just MMA news, it's global news because there's still a lot of people not really talking about this fight that's supposed to be happening at the White House because there's a lot of people who are still thinking this fight's not going to happen. You know, but once mainstream media picks up on it, once we start getting matches confirmed, there's going to be a social media meltdown. Okay? So the question really comes down to is, some people are like, well, I don't know, yeah, these guys were supposed to fight at one time. Were they really supposed to fight? Yes, guys, these guys were supposed to fight. The only reason these guys didn't fight was because of injuries. These guys are plagued with injuries, and they went on to do different things, and it just never came to fruition. But now we have a clear path, okay, to these guys potentially locking horns. And discussions are happening in the backgrounds. I'm reporting this right now. There's people breaking this story right now. The conversations are getting louder and louder, and not just conversations, but actual things happening behind the scenes to lock this fight in. So this is incredible. Yeah, the Ultimate Fighter was the precursor. That's what set it all off. That happened back in 2023. Ultimate Fighter 31. Chandler and McGregor coached opposite teams, and guys, the entire season was built around their rivalry. The expectation was clear. There was no ambiguity. These guys were going to fight. All right? So historically, the coaches usually fight at the end. Now, Conor McGregor had a long UFC absence. He was plagued with injuries. Okay, his leg injury recovery. I mean, that took a long time. There was some drug testing issues, and USADA. The return, the timing. There was some controversy surrounding that. Contract and scheduling delays, and then he went off to do some movies. He went off to start some businesses, and he's just been really, really busy. There was a possible presidential bid somewhere along the mix there, with Conor being very serious about potentially running as a presidential candidate in Ireland, and pretty much had Elon Musk's backing if that was the path that he wanted to go. Meanwhile, Chandler's been staying active. He's been training. He took on some very tough fights. And while he was doing that, he was calling out Conor all the time. He never really dropped the narrative between him and Conor McGregor. He wanted Conor McGregor the whole time. That persistency is probably one of the biggest reasons this rivalry, this matchup, is still alive and could actually be going down. And that's also one of the reasons why the fans still care, because the build up to this has been increasing. It exists. The trash talk, guys, has already happened. The Ultimate Fighter 31, created some unfinished business between these two guys, and Conor has never really officially closed the door on it. He himself really wants to tear into Michael Chandler because of all that noise that's been going on between these guys over the years. It's got to come to a close at some point, and it looks like we've got that runway. The runway starting to kind of open up now for these guys. It looks like it's a clear pathway forward, and something's gonna give. So this isn't just a random call out, guys, and it's honestly the best way to put it is it's paused rivalry. It is what it is. And if you want to add an extra layer to this whole news story between these guys, well, President Donald J. Trump invested $23 million into Conor McGregor's MMA organization. Yes, Conor McGregor has started a new venture, and Conor and apparently the president himself has invested $23 million. And I'm not saying all of this is kind of connected, but let's be real. Nothing this big happens without accident. And the fact that the UFC is hosting an event at the White House on presidential grounds this year in June. And Conor, teasing a comeback to the octagon, says, look, I don't want to run for president of Ireland, at least not right now. I want to focus my efforts on coming back to the octagon and fighting at the White House. Do you think there's a UFC fight, like a UFC fight at the White House without Conor McGregor on the card? No, it's not going to happen. Conor McGregor is going to be on that card. If there's one fight, or at least one fighter for sure, guaranteed to fight on that card, I would put my money on Conor McGregor. Unless, and of course, he's injured and he can't compete by whatever reason. That's the only reason he wouldn't be on that card. He's definitely going to be on that card, and guaranteed President Trump wants him on that card. So, with all that's going on, Chandler suddenly saying talks are real. Guys, this is not coincidence. This is momentum, all right? And you don't have to like the storyline that's surrounding these guys. Maybe it's not even the fight that you want to see. But if you guys want to see something, if you guys want to see a rivalry come to a close, and if you want to see some pure chaos, this is it. You got to watch this fight. It's going to happen. I'll put my money on it. Right? So from a business standpoint, it's absolutely pure genius. All right? It's chaotic, and what's chaotic is fascinating, and what's fascinating sells. Okay, it sells at the end of the day. People buy into the hype. People start to FOMO into things. You know, people who weren't so maybe on the fence, maybe MMA fans on the fence, and but you're going to get those people chiming in. And here's something that Conor McGregor did, which is absolutely brilliant. Is Conor McGregor took on Floyd Money Mayweather, probably one of boxing's all-time greats, and he did absolutely incredible. He actually put on a very, very good show. He put on a very good fight. Conor McGregor can box, guys. Say what you want about him, hate him, love him, whatever. You know, if all you're going to be talking about is his accolades that he achieved in the world of MMA and UFC, you can, but don't forget, he can box. I would love to see him and one of the Diaz brothers fight in a boxing match, because the Diaz brothers are former Golden Gloves fighters, and I'd love to see these guys actually box. That's something that I would definitely pay for. But the reason I was talking about Conor McGregor's, boxing history is because he's attracted a lot of boxing fans, to his circle. So when Conor McGregor fights next, he's going to be bringing in a lot of those boxing guys over. So this fight between him and Chandler, although it's going to be an MMA fight, he's still going to be bringing in those boxing fans. And those boxing fans are going to be watching Conor McGregor, and they're also going to be tuning in to the fight on the White House presidential grounds, which means they're going to start to get interested in some of the other fights as well. And this is how you bring the two sports together. Okay, this fight is going to be pure spectacle. All right, we're talking about redemption. There's going to be big money thrown at this fight, but I mean, especially when you have a name like Conor McGregor, it is what it is, guys. Anyone fighting Conor McGregor, is in for a big payday. So big spectacle, big chaos. I expect a lot of fireworks in this, and if Conor McGregor comes back, and it comes back he's not going to do it quietly. He's going to be loud on social media. He's going to be, every opportunity he gets to get on a mic and to talk, whether it's in an interview, whether it's at a fight, whether he shows up as at a presser, or he's ringside or octagon side, if you want to call it, and he gets the opportunity to talk, he's going to market the shit out of this fight. And not just his fight, but the fight at the UFC White House. It's going to happen. And that's why the UFC loves him. That's why networks love him, because he knows how to sell a show. I mean, there's also talks about him potentially fighting, one of the Paul brothers. Maybe Logan, because right now Jake's healing, after his his fight against Anthony Joshua. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's swirling about Conor McGregor, and as long as Conor McGregor is in shape, just expect a big fight to happen with him and somebody, and it's going to be a big spectacle. It's going to be a big money payday for sure, and he knows how to make it historic, right? On the biggest possible stage, the first time ever at the UFC White House. Can you imagine, guys? Can you imagine on presidential grounds to say that he fought there in front of the president, his administration, his staff, in front of the world, in front of the people, all the guests that are going to be there? It's I mean, that's historic. That's just who he is. He's Conor McGregor, guys. When he goes big. So let's play the what if game. This is the favorite part, my favorite part of any segment that I do. I mean, this would, if this fight actually comes to fruition, it's going to be probably one of the most watched MMA events at the White House. You guys know that it definitely is going to be up there. Probably even when we're talking about the Fight House, the actual White House card, this would probably be either the main event or co-main event, 100%. Anything to do with Conor McGregor is definitely going to be a main event, or they're all going to be main event fights. Okay, I mean, but it's probably going to be either one of the second last or last fights that we're going to watch. Okay, Conor McGregor's legacy rebuilds just overnight, just like that. All right, and it could be Michael Chandler's as well too. I mean, Chandler will turn into a global star just by fighting Conor McGregor at this fight. I'm not undermining Michael Chandler. So all you Chandler fans out there, I'm not saying anything negative about Chandler, but you have to admit, when it comes to Conor McGregor or Chandler, I mean, who's a bigger star. I'm not talking about skill set versus skill set, fighter versus fighter. I'm talking about, globally, right? Who's the bigger star? It's definitely Conor McGregor. So anyone who's fighting Conor McGregor is going to be an instant star. And there's going to be a big spotlight on Chandler, and people are going to talk about him. They're going to talk about his previous record. They're going to talk about his previous fights. They're going to talk about things that make him potentially either a strong candidate to win or a strong candidate to lose. Either way, he's going to be talked about a lot. There's going to be a lot of discussion surrounding him. So this is really going to change Chandler's career momentum. It's going to help him out. It's going to bring in big dollars. And look, if Chandler wins, watch out. He will be the next big thing. The next big entity in the UFC. Everyone's going to want a piece of him. So it's going to be interesting, right? So if Conor loses, that's the big question. Does that close the chapter for good for Conor McGregor? Does it push him into one last run potentially? Or maybe even a hybrid fight with him in a rematch against Floyd Mayweather or another boxer or influencer, or who knows. But I mean, it'll definitely set him up for at least one more big payday. All right. Either way, I don't see Conor McGregor losing out of this, right? I mean, this fight, honestly, between him and Chandler feels a lot more closer than it ever has before. I talked about it. I alluded to it. I did videos on this, a long time ago. And but now it seems like it's actually looking like it's going to happen, because the people that are behind the scenes, the matchmakers, they're talking about this. They're trying to make this work. They're trying to make it happen. The timing, it makes perfect sense as well on America's, birthday. I mean, in front of the president, and it's going to be one of the biggest events that's going to be happening this summer. And the hype, guys, I'm telling you, the hype is real. UFC knows exactly what they're doing. Okay? If Conor McGregor is coming back, he's coming back in the biggest way possible. All right, so I spoke a lot. I want to hear from you guys. Do you guys actually believe that Chandler versus McGregor at the White House is going to happen? Or is this just crazy talk? Is this the craziest hype job that we've ever seen? Drop your thoughts and comments, guys. Please don't forget to smash the like and subscribe. Join us here for Real Fight Talk. No fluff, no bias. Just, real unfiltered discussions on some of your favorite fighters in the world of MMA, boxing, even WWE. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what you guys have to think. I read all your guys' comments, and I try to comment on them. And hit the bell notification so you never miss a beat, and I look forward to catching you guys on the next one. Trust me, guys, the story isn't just done. It's not done yet. There's lots more to come, but let's kick off the discussion and let's get this going. I want to hear from you guys. We'll talk to you later.